should be in for a good one.
Well, Blake, first of all, it's great to be with you here tonight. And both teams, the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Nebraska Cornhuskers, truly seem to be trending in different directions. For the Minnesota Golden Gophers, they started out the year last year going 4-0-3, and in all 7 of those matchups, shutouts. Coming into this year, they are riding a 4-game win streak after a pretty miserable start to the season. As for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, in the past 4 games, 2 losses to Portland, 2-0, I should say, and to SLU 5-1, and then they've tied at home 0-0 to NC State and 1-1 to USC. Back-to-back draws at home, not exactly what you're looking for. You want to use home field momentum to your advantage, and Sarah Weber and Abby Schwartz, the only ones to get goals in that stretch. Well, Blake, the Gophers didn't just dig themselves into a hole at the start of the season with a tie and 3 losses. They built themselves into a burrow. Then, like on Groundhog Day, the sun was shining a little brighter on September 1st, and the Gophers have been red hot since. Minnesota has been able to have solid play on both sides of the ball. The backline has 3 shutouts in their last 4 games, and like you mentioned, it's pretty convincing when you can have 12 goals in your last 4 games. And Sophia Bowman is a big part of that, as she has had 3 of the team's last 4 goals. Well, the Big Red were 4-4 last year in non-conference play to start the season, 2-3-3 in non-conference play this year. Many believed with the talent up front for John Walker's crew that the scoring would be at a surplus amount, but to the dismay of many Husker fans, Nebraska has only scored 9 goals on the year. It's not bad, but when 1.6 goals against per game is your stat, that's not good. Clean sheets are a must-need for Nebraska as Minnesota poises to be an offensive threat. And on the backside of the ball, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the stellar backline for Minnesota. It all starts up with Gabby Cesaroni, who transferred out of Washington University, a Division III school in St. Louis. There she was a massive part of a 15-1-3 record, a 3rd-round NCAA tournament appearance, and was recognized as a Division III Defensive Player of the Year. She is one of 3 grad students on the back line, joining Elena Dressley and Delaney Stecker, who was one of 2 players to play every minute last year for the Gophers.
Now over to the Huskers, Josh. Who are you looking to make an impact on this Husker team?
Well, Jordan Zaid has not been a part of goals and assists themselves. Rather, she has helped to facilitate goals and assists on the pitch. Her quickness and agility gives her an edge on defenders, putting her in a position to move the ball quickly down the pitch. She needs to have the ball at her feet if the Huskers want to have a commencing fair attack. And part of what makes the Nebraska attack so non-stop is Sarah Weber. She's really been the one up front putting the ball in the net. Team leader in goals, assists, and shots. Nebraska's starting to find their way a little more toward the 18. They're weaving inside, using Robbie to back down.
Little lineup.
And it's, people describe their lineup as a 4-3-3, much like what John Walker runs, but really Lauren Donovan plays the role of the holding midfielder. She stays back on more of the defensive side of the ball. Well, Weber wasn't really even supposed to get her head on the ball in the first place, and she gets herself into a position, works her body around to at least give it a shot or a chance to get in the net if she can angle herself right, which she did, but the bounce just had a little too much mustard on it and goes out of play. Neither team really able to find their common ground here. A couple mistakes by both. Nebraska having a little better of an attack than the Gophers right now. But it's subtle for both teams, to say the least. At this point, you're playing mind games, trying to figure out who's going to flinch in this spot, who's going to move up when they should be back. You're looking for a lot of misplays. Great job by both players. Reagan Robbie just weaving her way through the defense. But that shot by Sarah Weber was just as incredible. Robbie going left to right, goes for the slide, and Weber off the bounce, able to get a decent shot off. That's Nebraska's 3rd shot, the 2nd one on goal. Minnesota hasn't had 1 shot, period, yet. There's a little extra firepower on that one that Hawk caught. Moving from right to left, nearly had to extend herself. You could see in the slow motion, took a couple tries to get full control of it. Well, when you get inside Nebraska's attacking third, you have to deal with the Dale dominance. She owns that zone. She scores there a lot. And if you have the ball, you're probably going to get hit a couple times. Yeah. Solid contact by Gwen Lane. There was no doubt that was all ball. And she's coming cross pitch from her defending third all the way to the attacking third in the blink of an eye. And just like that, Abby Schwartz coming into the game not even a minute ago takes a great cross pass from Gwen Lane. It goes off the top of her foot into the backside. Little too much forespin there on the ball. Momentum slowly working its way toward the Gophers. They're starting to get more shots on goals. Aldrich Clark checks in for Nebraska. They're creeping up. They're still trailing. They have 2 shots, one of which was just on goal. Sammy Hawk making that save. Harper with a great chance. With 1 goal on the year, she knows what it takes to put the ball in the net. And it was a beautiful cross as well. One can argue that had a really good chance to score, but just wide to Hawk's left.
Side.
And joining Sophia Bowman in the midfield is other Sophia Romine. And when we were scouting the game, the name sounded so familiar, and she's a Wisconsin transfer, and 2 years ago was the only freshman in 2020 on that Badgers team to start all 14 matches. And with 2 goals on the year, she's bringing much needed experience for the midfield to say. Gwen Lane has done a great job of jumping passes. She really is watching the passer's eyes, trying to determine where she's going to pass it, because what it comes down to is the eyes tell you everything. If you keep your head up and watch that, you're going to intercept the pass. Holy moly, that's the magic of Eleanor Dale, is that she'll have the ball at her feet, looks like she's going to pass it, and then all of a sudden, look at that strike, forcing Plashkow to go from left to right, diving. Minnesota's got a chance to really break out here. I believe they have the attacking power to do so. And it really starts in the midfield with the Sophias, Sophia Bowman and Sophia Romine. The top 2 goal scorers on this roster are going to be so utterly vital in the creation of chances. The back line has done a good job of defending for the Gophers, but the facilitation of the attack, as if any of it, has started in the midfield.
Here.
Zayd does a good job of retreating. If she jumps that, Nebraska is down a player going for Minnesota's attack. It was a smart move, and Zayd working so utterly hard here. If we're comparing attacks of both teams, Minnesota has only had the ball inside their attacking third 5% of their total percentage time, whereas Nebraska, it's 16% inside their attacking third. A smart play by Hawk as the attack is looming for the Gophers. You don't want to make a bad pass and have it intercepted, and then you're caught on your heels at that point. Tough shot there for the Gophers. Again, we're seeing a lot of it, and that's Megan Gray there. These great chances are set up, but a lot of these players are using the front of their foot, and it's almost acting as a punt in football. You're getting way too under it. Doesn't have a good angle. It's a moonshot. It goes up and goes down. And it's tough when the ball's moving. I'm no soccer player, and I can't really do it, but you want to be able to use the side of your foot. Keep the ball low. Get it on a spin rate and have it curve. That is where the one-timers are lethal. But it is tough nonetheless when you have 2 great defenses like both teams are playing tonight.
Throw.
And folks, you're probably noticing this tonight, not only with Jordan Zayd, but Gwen Lane also, as a freshman, was a starting forward and converted back line. And I think at times it does good for John Walker and it does bad for John Walker. The good is that you have playmakers in the back that can score like strikers and like wingers. And they've actually developed a pretty good job at defense, but at times, if you're bringing Gwen Lane and Jordan Zayd up as high as you are, and you only have 2 center backs and your keeper back, and a misplay happens, that could be punishing.
Smash.
Well, starting off, Dressley had 2 cousins that actually played for the Gophers, and she started in the final 5 matches in 2020, but was injured all of last year. She looks really good considering that. Then Delaney Stecker, preseason Big Ten player to watch, played every minute last year, part of 9 shutouts, another grad student. Then Gabby Cesaroni, another grad student from St. Charles, Illinois, just outside of my hometown, Chicago. Again, went to Washington University for Division III and considered one of the best Division III players that year. Helped anchor 11 shutouts, and the goals against average, .41. And that's been a strength for the Big Red tonight. Utilizing the header and not overly using it, not underly using it, but just right. And I think who's been the best at it is Sarah Weber. A lot of headers, It's boink, and it goes way up in the air. But Sarah Weber's able to slick it, and it looks as if it never hit her head.
Crossed it.
You can sense the urgency on the field right now. As 5.5 minutes are left on the clock. Harper receiving it. And again, she's ahead of the last defender. That was as slick as putting butter on the roll. The dish coming from Gwen Lane. And it perfectly, again, we talked about it tonight. Sarah Weber has been the best at the headers, and it rhymes too because it syncs together. Weber, again, the headers don't just bounce off of her, they glide off. It's a clean slate like we mentioned for Nebraska. They needed this. It has been, guess what, 19 days since their last win, but folks, that streak's over. Nebraska wins 1-0, and for Minnesota, it was a gutsy performance from them. There were times where the defense seemed to be lacking a little, and that's where Nebraska caught them at the end. They finally figured it out, but no doubt Minnesota, with the defensive capabilities and the attacking capabilities that they have, there is no doubt that they will be picking up their first Big Ten win soon.